Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the ancient Hindu mythology of Lord Rama. We're drawing directly from the Vande Mataram Foundation's rich historical account, and we're going to look at how an epic, one that's literally thousands of years old, isn't just some dusty story from the past. It's actually a living, breathing narrative framework that millions of people use to structure their modern lives today. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, we really have to ask ourselves a foundational question, right? How does a story from millennia ago about the seventh avatar of Lord Vishnu still command such massive global celebration today? I mean, we live in a super fast-paced, modern world, yet on the ninth day of the lunar month of Chaitra every single year, the globe just pauses for Ram Navami. Lord Rama is considered the supreme being in the epic Ramayana, and people all over the world hold an incredibly special place in their hearts for him. So to really understand why this narrative is so powerful, we need to trace it all the way back to its roots.
Section 1. The Epic Origin Story.
Let's start by opening the pages of the Ramayana to the very beginning, right in the ancient kingdom of Kosala in Ayodhya. Now, every great narrative starts with a conflict, and here it was King Dasharath's agonizingly long wait for an heir. He actually had 3 wives, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi. But for a really long period, they just couldn't bear an heir for Ayodhya. But then the narrative shifts. The great sage Washist steps in and suggests performing a specific ceremony, the Putra Kasamsi Yagya. Following this, the king distributes a sacred sweet called Payasam to his queens. And finally, on the 9th day of the Hindu month Chaitra, Queen Kaushalya gives birth to Lord Rama, while the other queens give birth to his brothers, Lord Lakshmana and Bharat. And boom, that is the inciting incident of one of history's absolute greatest epics.
Section 2. Celebrations around the world.
So let's see how this ancient narrative actually builds into a living celebration that sweeps across the globe every single year. What's incredibly fascinating to me is how beautifully different regions contrast in the physical rituals they use to act out the exact same narrative. Take a look at northern India, for example. It's an explosive, highly visual celebration. People burn firecrackers to directly signify the end of Ravan's reign, literally manifesting the victory of good over evil. But then, if you look over at South India and Maharashtra, the narrative is extended. It becomes a huge 9-day-long festival known as Vasantotsava or Chaitra Navratri. Here, storytellers gather these massive crowds, completely captivating them by passing down the oral history of the Ramayana. It's the exact same core story, just adapted into beautifully diverse cultural expressions.
But, the physical immersion into the story doesn't stop at grand explosions or huge crowds. It gets deeply, deeply intimate. Across cities spanning all the way from Uttar Pradesh down to Tamil Nadu, and even stretching into Nepal, the story is kept alive through these incredible sensory experiences. The source details how devotees organize massive fairs. They fast throughout the day and then partake in a huge evening feast. If you happen to go to Haridwar, you'll literally find people chanting Vedic mantras right beside the holy river Ganga. And beautifully, devotees place tiny, bejeweled statues of Lord Rama as an infant into these miniature cradles and gently rock them. They aren't just remembering a story, right? They are actively stepping into it.
Section 3. Honoring the ancient tradition.
Now, you don't have to go to a massive temple or a riverbank to participate in this. Devotees honor this tradition in the quiet of their own homes in some really highly actionable ways. First, you set the scene by decorating your mandar with flowers and lighting a lamp. Then you dress miniature idols and offer payasam, which, if you remember, loops right back to that original origin story we talked about a minute ago. A fascinating part of this personal narrative is performing a Kanya Puja ritual. This involves inviting 9 girls to your home, treating them with immense respect and love, and offering them prasad. And finally, the entire day is grounded right back in the narrative by reciting the Tulsi Ramayana and sharing stories of Lord Rama's bravery, truthfulness, and wisdom to teach the next generation. It's this seamless blend of personal devotion, charity, and passing down oral traditions.
Section 4. 5 Timeless Life Lessons. Okay, so now we transition from the physical celebrations to the deeply personal narrative. The Vande Mataram Foundation text distills the massive Ramayana epic into 5 core, incredibly practical lessons. And the best part? You don't need to be a mythological hero to apply these. They're designed for anyone facing the daily challenges of regular human life. So let's break them down one by one to see exactly how the narrative informs each principle. Looking at the first lesson, we see the absolute pinnacle of determination. Never give up. When Sita was abducted by Ravana, the narrative didn't just offer some quick fix. It took an enormous amount of time, planning, and intense effort to secure her release. Lord Rama never once thought of giving up. So no matter how long your own journey takes, whether it's days, weeks, or even years, Lord Rama's relentless pursuit teaches us the ultimate power of love and dedication. Basically, when you lock onto a goal, you never stop trying. And this brilliantly illustrates the second lesson, which is all about respecting your elders. In the story, Lord Rama never argued or raised his voice, even when he profoundly disagreed with the choices his parents made. The text actually gives us two powerful, almost unbelievable examples of this. First, he agreed to fight terrifying monsters like Tataki just because his father asked him to. And even more dramatically, he accepted a horrendous, super dangerous life in exile in the woods simply because it was the wish of his stepmother. Honestly, it's a striking lesson in familial respect and duty. Moving on to the third lesson, we find what the source calls the absolute signature attribute of Lord Rama since the very beginning of the mythos, and that is keeping calm. Just think about the narrative arc here for a second. He fought great wars, he literally battled mythical monsters, and he endured deeply traumatic personal experiences, yet he never lost his cool or even flinched. When you find yourself in chaotic situations that you totally cannot control, this part of the story serves as a profound reminder to just master your own emotions. Now, this is actually one of my favorite parts of the whole story. It's the fourth lesson: treat everyone equally. This specific anecdote about Sabri, who was a sage's daughter, is a powerful mini-narrative nested right within the larger epic. When Sabri offered Lord Rama berries, he ate them without a single moment of hesitation. It seems like a small act, right? But in the context of the story, it proves that he did not discriminate against anyone, whether they were young, old, rich, poor, or from a totally different caste or religion. He treated family, friends, and total strangers with the exact same equal respect and love.
This final lesson is incredibly profound and honestly kind of unexpected. It teaches us about respecting your enemy. After a truly grueling war, and after Ravana had abducted Sita, Lord Rama obviously ultimately defeated him. But instead of gloating or insulting his fallen adversary, Lord Rama actually ensured Ravana was given a proper funeral. He even went so far as to ask his brother Lakshmana to learn art and sculpture from Ravana. I mean, that is a masterclass in treating adversaries with dignity. We learn that no matter how an enemy treats us, we must win without unnecessarily hurting or insulting them. Section 5. Why Ram Navami matters.
As we zoom out a bit here, we really have to look at why holding on to this specific narrative is still so absolutely crucial today. In a 21st century world that the source notes is often intensely focused on self-love, Ram Navami really stands out as something different. It isn't just history, it's an active daily reminder of the ultimate victory of good over evil. The text highlights that celebrating Lord Rama's birth is believed to actually bestow humanity, kindness, and love on earth while protecting the innocent. But more than that, the foundation notes how these teachings provide a vital anchor. Having a story built on principles of a kind nature, honesty, and helpfulness gives people the hope and the framework to survive immense modern crises, things like a global pandemic. So the crucial takeaway is this. We've walked through an epic origin story. We've seen how it drives massive global celebrations, and we've unpacked the timeless lessons it holds. The Ramayana isn't just a story meant to be left in the past. When faced with the metaphorical mythical monsters of your own life, how will you use these ancient lessons to keep calm, never give up, and emerge victorious? How will you apply these principles to write your very own modern narrative? Take that thought with you today.